is strength training so important for weight loss specifically?
Okay, because it does build muscle. The more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism is. Like for me, for example, people don't believe that I don't do cardio. I mean, I'll run here and there, but it's never for any other reason than for heart health.
Right.
People should do cardio for heart health. What do I tell you to do cardio? Treadmill on an incline, 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, that's it. Just walking at a level 3. I don't want you running. I don't want you any of that because you, although you want to lose weight and we have goals right now, your formula to reach your goals do not involve high intensity cardio or anything like that. It involves weight training and just heart health.
Welcome to Glowlab. We're gonna have a lot of fun and learn a lot together. Hi everyone, if you've been watching or listening to my podcast called My Life Online, we've decided to now change the name to Glowlab. We're rebranding the show and it's just gonna get more fun and we're gonna have lots of different experts in a wide array of different topics and categories. So from here on, welcome to Glowlab. Today's episode is a real treat, at least a treat for me, because we're bringing in my own personal trainer, Soonya Godfrey. She's been a personal trainer for about 15 years, probably a little bit more than that. And she has really changed the way I think about strength training. And not only strength training, but also my nutrition. And I feel like I've seen some results. So for today's episode, she's just answering lots of questions about strength training if you're interested in that. Soonya,
yes,
this is going to be a lot of fun. I know that you don't talk on camera too often. I think a lot of people have noticed that I'm making some gains.
That's
I'm losing
nice.
some weight and getting fit. And I felt like it'd be so much fun to bring on the woman who is helping me with my body.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your background in fitness.
I've been a personal trainer for almost 20 years now. When I first started, personal training was not even a thought in my brain. All I knew is that I had my 4th child. I was 85 pounds overweight, walking around 215 pounds. I just didn't feel good. So I started working out, started going to the gym. And I guess I just must have been so enthusiastic about my journey and motivated that other people started to notice. The fitness manager approached me and asked me, hey, what do you do for a living? At the time, I was working in a repair shop, an auto repair shop. You know, he was like, hey, people are asking about you. Come and work for me. Let me get you certified and let's, see what we can do. Well, it was a godsend because a few months after that, I became a master trainer. I had a waiting list of people who wanted to train with me. It was life-changing event. So I started to do that. Then that wasn't enough. And being that I am I have to have a mission. I have to have a goal. I have to have something that I'm always working towards. I was like, hey, I'm surrounded by bodybuilders. What is this that you guys are doing? And so bodybuilding was introduced to me, actually competitive bodybuilding. And I started to look into bodybuilding. I hired a coach. And next thing you know, I've entered into a few competitions, a few first place wins, made it to national stage. So I've been bodybuilding for about 15 years. So I added that to my wheelhouse. It's a huge passion of mine. I have actually started to try to promote it and encourage it amongst other women because I feel like it is the most powerful thing that we can do for ourselves is to put ourselves in a state where we love who we are physically and emotionally and mentally.
Yep, I love that.
It's just all in line with each other. I mean, it's true. When you put on an outfit, it doesn't matter how you look to others. It matters how you feel about yourself on the inside, right?
Absolutely.
So you look at yourself and you're like, you know what? I'm amazing. And that's pretty much what I want every woman to feel. So I've kind of made it my mission to educate, to share with women as much as I can about what I've learned on my personal journey.
I also have to give Soonya credit because a month ago, I was working out and she's like, hey, there's going to be a fitness challenge here at the gym and we're going to win this challenge. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. So she convinced me to do a fitness challenge, which I had not done forever. And I actually have seen a big difference because especially she's helping me with my food. And that has been such a big change in my body and getting smaller, even though I'm feeding my body lots of protein.
You're feeding yourself all day long.
All day long.
Yeah, all day long. And that's another thing. I eat all day long. When I tell people I literally eat 5 or 6 meals a day.
Yeah.
Well, in their head, they're thinking I'm having like 6 big meals. And it's not necessarily that. I'm feeding myself smaller portions, but it's also what the quality of the food that I'm feeding myself, right? So I'm feeding myself, yes, every 3 or 4 hours, but my body is burning through that food every 3 or 4 hours because it's quality food. It's whole foods, you know? And of course, like, while we're in a challenge right now, we're going to say, okay, we have these, you know, these things that we have to eat during this challenge. But if we weren't in a challenge, you'd want to be able to live a lifestyle, right? Where you can enjoy the foods that you want to eat. You can do those things. And as long as it's the 80-20 rule, I know it's so cliche, it's the 80-20 rule, but it's true. There's a reason that they say that. If you eat 80% of the time clean, then the other 20% of the time, when you do introduce something, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't really affect you that much. It's in and out. In fact, when I am training a bikini competitor or a bodybuilding competitor, if they start to plateau or hit like where their weight is not budging or the numbers aren't matching, I'll give them a refeed. Let's call it a refeed. I'll feed them an 8-ounce steak with a big potato and a side of like a 700-800 calorie meal. And then as soon as I do that, the next day, boom, the body is like, it sucks it all up. It just loves it and enjoys it. And the metabolism just starts going again. So sometimes it's good to introduce something bad to your body because it shocks it, right? So for the most part, like I said, if you eat well, majority of the time, then you can enjoy those moments of, you know, ice cream or whatever.
Ashley, our guest Ashley, the behavioral therapist, called it planned indulgences.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I really like that term also.
And I don't like calling them cheat meals because the word cheat is such a negative word, right?
Know.
We don't want to put anything negative into what we're doing. We're supposed to be enjoying our cheat meal. So I just call it an off-plan meal.
Yeah,
you know,
off-plan meal or planned indulgence.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a great positive way to say
it.
And
she kind of also made it like, she was kind of like, I tell my clients, do you really want to drink that cheap wine on the airplane or wait until Friday night when you're home, relaxing with your family and have that beautiful bottle of wine that you purchased? So
it's, you know, you can pick and choose what you want to indulge in, right? Yeah. And the thing is that I think that eating clean, if you eat clean properly, it doesn't have to be boring, right?
Will you explain what you mean by clean? Because like my viewers specifically, they hear the word clean, it can be triggering because they think like clean beauty and stuff.
Okay.
So like you're saying like Whole Foods.
I'm saying clean as in Whole Foods, not anything that's in a factory. So an unclean meal to me, and in my opinion,
Doritos.
It would be Doritos. Or I would even say, some people aren't going to like this, but Alfredo. Yeah. You know, chicken Alfredo. You've got pasta, which is flour
it's
and
processed,
right? So you've got the flour. You've got the dairy in the Alfredo sauce, right? You've got all of these things. I mean, to me, that's not clean. It's dirty.
Yeah.
Clean is there's no added sauces, no added, you know, yes, you can have some flavor. I mean, garlic powder, salt, pepper. I mean, these are all things that, you know, you can add flavor to your thing. It doesn't have to be boring, but clean to me is, it's eats the earth or grows from the earth. Yeah. Okay. So like a clean meal would be, like what I had for dinner last night, 6-ounce, sea bass with a dab of, I love bitchin sauce. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I love bitchin sauce.
Bitchin sauce is amazing, right? Just a dab of bitchin sauce on top of the sea bass, 5, spears of asparagus, and a little side of sweet potatoes. I mean, I don't know. That to me, it just sounds so delicious. And they're like, it doesn't have to be boring.
Okay, so when it comes to working out, do you feel like there is a huge difference in the way that women work out versus how men work out? Like what we're supposed to be doing to achieve our goals?
Honestly, I don't think so, personally. I don't think there's a difference in terms of like bodybuilding or lifting weights or anything. I just think obviously the resistance, the weight is different, right? That would be the biggest difference in my opinion. Everyone has their own opinion. I'm coming from a bodybuilding world, so I don't see the difference in male and female. I'm going to train a female the same way that I'm going to train a male and vice versa. The only thing that I would take into consideration, because I am a woman, is when we have our menstrual cycle. In those moments, we're low on iron, where there's all kinds of chemical things that are going on in our bodies. So I would say at those times, maybe my lifting or my pushing my clients wouldn't be as hard or as intense, right? Because I don't feel good.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that would be something that I would take into consideration, being that I'm a woman and I understand that, knowing that my client is on her period or on the second day of her period and her flow is heavy. I'm not going to have her doing things that are going to
be uncomfortable.
Yeah. But for the most part, as scientifically, from a science base, no, I wouldn't train men and women different.
And I can confirm this.
No.
You've been training for how long now?
5 months?
Yeah. My goodness. That's right. Like since November?
I think so. Yeah.
December, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah. You know what the funny thing was? When Derek is one of the guys at the gym who you kind of do like a consultation with when you say you want a personal trainer. He had you send me an email and to ask like what my goals are.
Yes.
And I said, I'm newly single and I want to look hot for all the to like sweat it up or something. I said,
what'd you say? I'm in my hoe phase or something?
I'm in my hoe era. That's what I said. I'm entering my hoe era and I need to look good for it.
This is my girl. Let's do this.
That was her response. She went back, you know what? I got you.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. I'm going to live vicariously through you is what I said.
So funny. I feel like I'm feeling good.
Yeah, so. Absolutely.
Yeah. But she does. She makes me work out just like you would see a guy working out. And sometimes I'm not handling it well, but I'm still doing what you would have a guy do.
Yeah, no, but it's fun. I mean, and I love introducing new things to my clients and then them embracing it. You know, I think there was a couple things where I had you do some glute exercises like on the Smith machine where you were like, I have never done this before. And oh my gosh, right? Yeah. And to me, it's just so rewarding because I'm like, yes, you know, not only did I introduce something new to it, but it was effective and you felt what I was trying to show you, you know, in that. So,
I mean, I think about you every day. I woke up this morning with my thighs and my butt a little tight and sore. And I was like, Soonya.
And that's what I say. If you wake up screaming my name in the morning, I've done my job.
That actually leads to a really good question. Should you be sore after a workout? Like I asked this because when I was younger, I used to think that like once I got past being super sore all the time, that maybe I'd like mastered the workout and I just wanted to maintain that. But now when I work out with you, for instance, I feel like I'm almost always sore. And this is consistent. I'm just consistently sore. So do you need to be sore to see gains?
I don't necessarily think you need to be sore. So let's break it down. Let's understand why we're sore. Okay. So the reason why we're sore is because when we're lifting weights, our muscle fibers are actually breaking. So you're tearing the muscle fibers. So that's the soreness that you're feeling. During the next couple days, your body is repairing, which is why we want protein, right? So the protein will lay on top of the muscle fibers and repair, which is then causing growth, which that's how your muscles become bigger. Does it mean that you're not necessarily making gains or anything? Not necessarily. It doesn't mean that. It just means that you haven't pushed your muscles to the point where you've put them in a position to grow. Okay. If you're working out and you're not sore, it doesn't mean that you've wasted your time or done anything. You're still promoting blood flow to the muscles. You're still working them. You just haven't torn them to the point where you're going to actually grow more fibers.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a difference. You're never not doing anything by lifting weights. So I would say like if I'm going to the gym and my goal isn't to gain or, gain size, then I'm just going to stick to the weights where I'm comfortable.
Okay.
So that means I'm not going to be sore the next day.
Okay.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, but I'm still keeping them conditioned and I'm still keeping them, fresh and happy and, with blood flowing to them. Right.
Yeah. This question is along the same lines. And I think from that answer, I know what the answer is going to be, but I'm going to still ask it. Do you have to lift heavy weights to see results or can you stick with lighter weights? And I kind of ask this because, I think for women, a lot of the time, especially if we're not working out with a trainer, it's intimidating to go up heavier in weights. Like even when I'm not working out with you and you give me, while I'm traveling, like you'll give me a couple of workouts I should be doing, like little plans. I probably won't go as heavy as I would have with you, right? Just because I don't, like maybe there's even a part of me that's like, oh, what if I can't handle it or something like that? Or I don't know what it is. There's becomes this mental block. So do you have to always be lifting heavy to see results? Not necessarily. No, you don't have to lift heavy, but then there becomes that safety factor. I think when I hear you say that, I'm thinking, well, I wouldn't want you to lift very heavy because I would want you to feel safe, right? Right. Not only that, but once we start to feel uncomfortable, then we start to compromise form and we don't want to do that. And then we start to lose what muscles we're actually working and things like that. But I don't necessarily think you have to, lift
heavy per se to get results.
Right.
know?
Yeah. Because sometimes you have me do workouts where it's like body weight.
Yeah. It's so that would be more of a conditioning day, So we have different goals for different workouts, right? So some days we are strength days. Some days are our conditioning days or cross training days. Cross training where I never have you lift anything heavier than 10, but you're, busting your butt the whole time, right? But it's simply just to cause some resistance. So it just depends on what your goal is for that workout.
So people should probably be thinking about what their goals are before they even start going into the gym.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what? One of my favorite things that you do is whenever we're in one of our exercises, you'll touch me exactly where I should be feeling like a muscle contraction, which is such a game changer for me because like even especially when it's things like my upper body or like my legs or my butt, sometimes you're thinking in your head like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this. And maybe it's supposed to be right here that I'm supposed to be feeling this. Or that is where I'm just like feeling it naturally. You'll tap me and go like, no, I want it right here. And then you start to like focus on that.
Well, it's just like anything. I want to understand why I'm doing things. It's why go through the motions, right? So if you actually understand and make a connection. So it's like, I explain it like this. Even with people, the more of a connection you have, the better your relationship is. The same philosophy applies to your body. Understanding your body, even your gut, right? Like knowing what certain foods affect your gut, what certain foods, like make you think clearly, even some things I can eat something and I'm like, ooh, I'm blurry. Like I can't see straight. Well, the same thing applies to your muscle groups, right? So what I never understood, and I've learned this over the years that I've been training, not a lot of trainers teach what muscle groups you're actually working while they're doing it. So the biggest misconception that I hear is that when people say, I have them do push-ups, the first thing they say is my arms are so weak. I'm thinking, well, push-up has that your primary is not even your arms. When you do a push-up, your primary is your chest. So not 80% of people don't know that. So like my arms are dead. And I'm thinking, well, you're pushing from the wrong muscle group. You should be pushing from your chest. So over the years, in interacting with people that have had other trainers, that is the one thing that I learned that hardly anyone does. Right. So I have made it a huge goal of mine to educate and to teach people what muscle groups they're working while they're working them. Right. So I always say, I touch. Are you okay with me touching? And clients are always like, okay, that's fine. I've never had anyone say, no, don't touch me.
We're like, touch me. Touch me.
So it's like, I'll say, okay, I want you to do an overhead press and I'll touch you right here on your shoulder. I say, send your mind right here. I want you to visualize what's happening with those muscles. I want you to visualize the blood going into the muscle. I want you to visualize it growing as you're pressing, right? By doing that, once again, like I said, the connection is there. It grows stronger. You can feel it. You know where to press from. You know what you're working. Like I said, with a push-up, once I tell people, shift your focus from your arms to your chest, boom, night and day. Yeah. They completely understand what I mean. Because this whole time they're trying to push from their arms. Right. I'm saying that's the wrong muscle. Are the arms working? Yes, they are. They're supporting, but they're not the primary. So you need to know what primary muscle group you're working in order for that exercise to be effective.
So do you think people watching, if they end up working out with a trainer, whether it's like a one session to learn some moves or something, they should be asking with each move, what muscle group is this working?
Absolutely. Okay. If the trainer isn't volunteering that information, then you should ask, what muscle group am I working? It makes a world of a difference. Even something as simple as a lunge. Right. Okay. So you do a lunge, I'll tell you 9 times out of 10, when someone does a lunge with me for the first time, they're going to do a lunge and then they're going to step up from their toes. But what I say to them is, what I want you to do is I want you to push up from your heel. As soon as they do that, they're like, whoa, I felt that all back here. And I'm like, that's where you should be feeling it. But instead, what they're doing is they're doing a lunge. They're pressing on their toes. Their knees hurt. My knees hurt. I hear that all the time. Shift your focus, push on the heels, actually work the muscle you're supposed to be working. You're not supposed to be working your knees on a lunge, right? Right. But 9 times out of 10, someone will say, my knees hurt. Yeah. It's because they've never been taught on what muscle group to work.
Right.
Yeah.
So for somebody, let's say I spend a lot of money. Clearly, I'm like blessed to be privileged enough to work out with you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes 5 days a week.
Yeah. I love it.
We're like 4 to 5 times a week. Okay. Like if I have the time, I'm working out with Soonya. For someone that doesn't have that though, that ability to work out with a personal trainer, what would be your recommendation to be able to learn how to properly do these moves?
I would say if you can't do your own research in learning that, then I honestly, I really do think investing in a personal trainer, even if it's for a month, it really is, it's worth it. For so many reasons. Now, I mean, you can learn the different equipment in the gym. You can learn how to use things properly. You can learn how to program, how many times have you gone into the gym prior to having a trainer and not know what you're going to do? Totally, right? Not know what you're going to do.
Even now, sometimes I'll go to the gym. If you don't write out a plan for me, I know how to use a lot of the equipment and everything, but I don't necessarily know how to group it all together.
Exactly, right? So I think that it really is worth investing in, even if it's for a month or two. And a lot of gyms do offer that 1 session, 2 sessions, just so that the trainer can show you around how to use the different pieces of equipment. But other than that, I don't want to say use an app and this is where my personal OCD comes in. I just cannot fathom someone doing a squat not being trained how to do it properly. The risk of injury goes up. I mean, it's just, there's so many different things that can go wrong. I would definitely recommend working with someone, at least for the first month. And then once you do that, then there are like the Nike training app, things like that. They offer different programs. Then you could feel more comfortable doing things, on your own. But for the most part, definitely invest in working with someone just for a little bit. Do you think even if you can only afford to do 1 or 2 sessions, just do that? Absolutely. And just let them know, I just want to learn to do it properly. Yep, absolutely. Something that has been a big change since working out with you, and this has been kind of for the last couple of years, but I think it really got solidified in working out with you, is that we don't necessarily focus on cardio as much as strength training. And we know that one of my primary goals though is to lose weight. So I think especially we talk about this, being a 90s teenager, for instance, we grew up with this mentality that we need to be skinny to look good. And while now we've evolved into this different image of our bodies and everything, I think I always thought I needed to do more and more cardio. But what do you think is more important for weight loss? I think it's a combination of both. Okay. But I also think it also depends on where you're at physically. Okay. If you are in a position where you have, and I'm just throwing a number out there, 30, 40 plus pounds to lose, then I think cardio should definitely be part of your regimen. But if it's something where you just, I just have this 5-10 pounds, for me, I would much rather adjust your food and have you adjust your food and hit the weights than I would have you do cardio. And the reason with that is because, once again, coming from a bodybuilder's background, I know what happens when you do a lot of cardio. The body's going to naturally take from the most nutrient source it can, which is going to be your muscles. So imagine if you only had 5 pounds of fat to lose. You can't tell your body, only take from the fat. Only take from the fat. Don't take from anywhere else. If we had that ability, that would be great, but we don't. Anyone who is severely overweight, who has lots of fat to lose, cardio is the way to go. Okay. Along with strength training. Along with strength training. And why is strength training so important for weight loss specifically? Okay, because it does build muscle. The more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism is. For me, for example, people don't believe that I don't do cardio. I mean, I'll run here and there, but it's never for any other reason than for heart health. Right. People should do cardio for heart health. What do I tell you to do cardio? Treadmill on an incline, 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. That's it. Just walking at a level 3. I don't want you running. I don't want you any of that, because although you want to lose weight and we have goals right now, your formula to reach your goals do not involve high intensity cardio or anything like that. It involves weight training and just heart health. And I love, by the way, doing incline on the treadmill at a 2.5 or a 3. Because that's what I mean. It's so easy. I throw on TikTok, throw my headphones on, I'll listen to music. It's so easy. I get it done so easily. But at the end, you feel you've gotten a workout in, right? But you're not dying, but you've still gotten a nice workout. You're probably in a zone 1 or 2. Yeah. Zone 3 and 4 is when you're in that huge fat burning, where you're just going too much, right? Zone 3 or 4, that's where the people who are in those classes where you're like, why are you doing those classes?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And we're trying not to, because I'll tell you sometimes I feel like I didn't work out for 3 days and it feels like my muscle has decreased or something.
Exactly.
And
right?
we just don't want to do that with that high intensity cardio.
No, we don't. No. And I also think too, it matters how your age also plays a matter in that, you know, I mean, anyone, especially hormonal perimenopause, any, you know, females that are, I would say 40 plus, you know, whatever. No, we don't need to do all of that. You know, we need to preserve and keep the muscles that we have.
Right. Strength training is the key.
It is. Absolutely.
How about a woman in her 40s, just turned 40, has never done strength training before ever. She's done Pilates and all of that kind of stuff, but has never actually just done weights.
Those are my favorite clients.
Really?
Yes.
So you think they should come in, they're going to see a change?
Oh, yes. Without a doubt. They're actually going to see them faster.
Really?
Yes, because they've never done it. And their body's just going to suck it up.
Yeah.
Like, just absorb it. Yeah. Those are actually my favorite clients because they're like babies. They have no idea what they're in store for. Right.
Yeah.
And then once they start to see the changes, they're just excited and motivated and just, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
I know. I recently started following some accounts on Instagram where these women are like, I got my best body in my 40s and they show their transition. You're like, oh my gosh, they really were not working out until they got into their 40s.
Exactly.
And now they look better than me.
Right. Well, it's the women our age who are coming from the, you know, that era of, you know, skinny
the skinny wave. Yeah.
Like I wanted to be 125 pounds forever.
Yeah.
Like there's no way I could
know.
be 125 pounds. My body would not like me. We come from that era where it's like, it didn't matter. And that's another thing. Like I love teaching women not to worry about what the scale says. Do I have my clients step on the scale? Yes, I do, but not for any other reason other than to see our progress.
Right.
Whether we've lost, gained, whatever it is, you know, but I mean, I tell you, I still have issues being a bodybuilder where I'm in improvement season and I'm walking around 165 pounds. I'm like, really even have to remind myself it's not about the scale. It's not about the number. It's not about the number. Right. But I know that 165 pounds on me doesn't really look like 165 pounds. It's just that number on the scale.
Right. Because you've got muscle.
Because I have muscle.
I know. It's a wild thought.
Yeah.
For somebody watching that wants to start getting into the gym to do strength training, what do you think would be some of the best moves to start with? Like, what are they going to see the best, I guess, gains with?
Okay, so it's going to be your basic movements, which is a squat, a deadlift. So hinge movements. So squat, deadlift, push up, sit up, and like an overhead press. Simple ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of body weight where you can add weight to it, but you start out with body weight.
So this is stuff they might be able to even start at home.
Absolutely.
And see if they get their bodies moving.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Any kind of movement to begin with, right?
Yeah.
We start with movement and then we add weight to it. Yeah.
When people want to see real change with their bodies though, they can't just expect to go into the gym and do the bare minimum.
You're right.
Right?
Yeah. So there should be, and like I mentioned before, you should come in with a plan. You know, you should know what you're going to do when you come in. You know, start out 5-10 minute warm up on a, you know, elliptical, treadmill, bike, whatever it is. And then have some sort of plan where at least you're doing 30 minutes of some sort of strength training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So strength training is a must if you want to see real change with your body.
Absolutely. Building muscle. Without muscle, I mean, you're just really just spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Do you think it's true that people who are like really overweight, if they get into the gym, they'll see the biggest change with their body faster than a person like, let's say I just started working out with you.
Yes.
Am I going to see the same kind of change as quickly as somebody who's overweight?
I don't think so. I think that the person who is severely overweight is going to see the quickest change simply because they're adding something into their regimen that they're not used to adding into their regimen. Obviously, they're that big for a reason, right? They don't eat right and they obviously don't move. So any type of extra movement that they're doing is going to absolutely see improvements quicker.
What are some things that you wish people would know if they're contemplating getting a personal trainer or even just starting like their strength training, I guess, journey? What are things for them to know to be motivated?
I think that they have to be patient. I think that a lot of times what happens is that in the beginning, because like we were talking about how someone who is severely overweight is going to lose weight fast. In the beginning, they will lose a lot of weight. Absolutely. They're going to see probably within the first couple weeks 10, 15 pounds come off simply because they're moving more than they have. What's going to end up happening is that eventually they hit a plateau. Just to remind people that you will hit that plateau and not to be discouraged, to stay motivated, to stay encouraged, because once you hit that plateau, it's just a matter of taking you to that next level. Mm-hmm. Then when you take you to that next level, then you'll start to see the weight loss again. I think just staying positive, just remembering that these are all obstacles that we all face when it comes to, starting a new journey, a health journey, and that there's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be ups and downs.
Yeah. We even had that experience one time where I just felt like, I almost felt like I was gaining weight. Remember? I was like, I feel like I'm gaining weight. I'm not looking as good. I don't feel as good. And you're like, well, now we got to start talking about your nutrition. And that has made a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what happens. I mean, like anything, if you take something and you completely 180 it, like just change everything all at once, the likelihood of you reverting back to the way that you were doing things before is far greater than if we were to take small increments of changes, right? And then those small changes become habits and you don't realize that they're changes anymore.
Yeah. Well, Soonya, thank you so much. I'm going to see her at the gym tomorrow morning. Yes. This has been really helpful. I think that a lot of people had some questions that they had answered, and it was really helpful. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Glowlab. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you follow, rate, and also share it with a friend because we want to keep the show going. I'll talk to you next time.